Welcome to the Spiritist Companion podcast. My name is Yuri Castro, and I'll be your companion on this journey where we study, reflect, and put Spiritist teachings into practice. If you enjoy what you hear, don't forget to subscribe to our channel, to follow our pages, and to send this podcast to someone else so we may spread the seeds of light together. And today, my dear friends, we're going to be talking about returning evil with good, to love our enemies, to forgive those who hurt us, and to respond with kindness in the face of injustice. But is this truly possible to put in practice, or is it simply a distant ideal taught by our Master Jesus? Well, let's reflect together, shall we? If we go to the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 5, we'll have that famous speech by our Master Jesus, where he says, "You have learned that it was said, 'You shall love your neighbor and hate your enemies.' But I say to you, love your enemies, do good to those who hate you, and pray for those who persecute and malign you, so that you may be the children of your Father who is in heaven." Or even that other one in Luke chapter 6, where he says, "Love your enemies, do good to all, and lend without expecting anything." The codifier of Spiritism, Allan Kardec, is going to tell us a bit more about this on chapter 12 of the book The Gospel According to Spiritism, that has the title Love Your Enemies. And the first part of it is render good for evil. And this is what we're going to be talking about today. The first thing that Kardec does, which I truly like, is that he clarifies the word love in this specific context, because Jesus, our dear Master, did not mean that we must have for our enemy the tenderness that we would have for a brother, a sister, or a friend, or somebody who we connect with. Because love presupposes trust, and we cannot trust somebody who we know means us harm. We cannot have the same sort of sentiment of friendship with such a person, knowing that they are capable of abusing it. And he even goes further when he says that the sentiment results from a physical law, the law of assimilation and repulsion of fluids is what he calls, because we know through Spiritism how our thoughts can manipulate the cosmic fluid, and he says that this malevolent thought that our enemy sends our way emits a fluidic current whose impression is painful, whereas if we have a benevolent thought, we're going to be enveloped in a pleasant emanation. And that's why when we are among people who we don't share necessarily a great deal of positive sentiment, we feel a certain way. And when we are surrounded by those we love, those we have positive feelings towards them, and vice versa, we feel differently. It's because our thoughts, those sentiments, those emotions are manipulating this fluid around us, and we feel it. Even though we can't sometimes really explain it, we do feel it. How can we then love our enemies, or love those who are not necessarily our enemies, but those who hurt us? I believe the first thing we have to understand is that it doesn't mean holding for these people an affection. That is sometimes not natural. But it means holding neither hatred, rancor, nor desires for vengeance against them. It means forgiving them unconditionally and without ulterior motive for the evil they have caused us. This is what Kardec says. He also mentions, and I think it's important to add here, that we shouldn't put any obstacles to reconciliation, that we must wish for them the good instead of wishing them evil. This exhortation by our Master Jesus is not an ordinary recommendation. I think we can all agree, right, my dear friends? It goes against our, let's say, instinctive reactions, because naturally we tend to retaliate, we tend to defend ourselves aggressively sometimes, or hold on to resentment when those people try to hurt us. But Jesus invites us to do something far greater than that. Loving those who hurt us does not mean feeling that immediate affection or agreeing with their wrongdoing or passively accepting injustice. It means not holding on to hatred, like I said, not wishing them harm, acting with goodwill even in the face of offense. This, my dear friends, is an exercise in moral elevation. But why is it so hard to do that? Why is it so difficult? And I think the answer is rather easy to understand: because of our pride. Yes, our pride still speaks very loudly. So when we are hurt, we often think, oh, I'm right, or I can't let this go. I need to respond. But according to Spiritism, this impulse keeps us trapped in this cycle of evil, we can even call it. So responding to evil with more evil will only prolong the conflict, will only prolong the cycle. If we go to other books in Spiritism, for instance, the Spirit's book, we have plenty of questions and answers there that will address the law of cause and effect, in a sense that every action generates consequences. So when we return evil with evil, what we're doing is we feed imbalance. We are creating new conflicts. We are delaying our spiritual growth. But when we respond with good, we interrupt, sometimes even break the cycle. We elevate our vibration so the good spirits can help us more easily, and we continue striding forward spiritually. But who are our enemies? Because sometimes these are not the great adversaries we come to think of. In practice, they may even be somebody who offended us, or somebody who harmed us, somebody even difficult to live with, or someone who criticizes and judges us. And this could come in ordinary situations in daily life. But it's essential to understand that returning evil with good is not weakness, because we often confuse kindness with passivity, forgiveness with weakness. But in truth, it takes tremendous inner strength to choose goodness in the face of evil. It shows self-mastery. So let's look at some daily life situations here, real situations where we can apply this. Number one, in the face of offense. So somebody says something hurtful, the immediate reaction is to strike back, like I said. But now we can choose to remain balanced, to respond respectfully if we need to respond, because sometimes silence is actually the best response, and not feed the conflict. This is already starting to return evil with good. Number two, we can think at work, because sometimes somebody may try to undermine us or act unfairly towards us, and then we can choose to maintain ethics, to act professionally, to refuse to enter in that same negative pattern, because by doing that, we are protecting ourselves without becoming, quote unquote, contaminated by those evil thoughts. We can also think of social media. Yes, digital environments can often be aggressive. So if we're facing attacks there, let's not retaliate with aggression. Let's respond with education, or, like I said before, remain silent. This way we'll avoid spreading negativity. We can also think about our own negative thoughts, because sometimes evil can come from our own problems still. So anger, resentment, desire for revenge. Returning evil with good in this situation also means transforming our thoughts, cultivating understanding, and seeking inner balance. And last but not least, family. At home, yes. Family conflicts are rather common, as we have talked before in this podcast about the family and the importance of the family. Someone may react with irritation, and then we can choose patience. We can avoid the harsh words. We can listen before reacting. A lot of the times, my dear friends, goodness begins at home. Forgiveness is also returning evil with good. And forgiveness is not excusing wrongdoing. It is freeing ourselves from emotional burden. Because when we hold on to resentment, we are the ones who suffer. Forgiveness relieves, liberates, heals. But of course, it's not always easy, so let's be realistic. There will be moments when our emotions will try to speak louder, when the pain will feel so intense that the reaction will almost seem unavoidable. But what matters is to try, to begin again once we've fallen, and to improve gradually, always, every single day. Our dear Master Jesus did not only teach, he lived it. Even while being unjustly persecuted and crucified, he said, what? Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. He, as always, is the highest model. Let's think of some practical applications here so we can live this teaching. Number one, let's pause before reacting. Let's give our conscience room to act because we know already what we must do. Number two, let's practice forgiveness daily. Let's not accumulate resentment. Number three, let's try to develop empathy, trying to understand the other person, trying to understand their point of view. Number four, choosing goodness consciously, even when it is difficult. And last but not least, protecting our inner peace, because that is worth more than any dispute we may encounter. My dear friends, returning evil with good does not only change the other person, it changes us. Loving those who hurt us is a decisive step in the evolution of our spirit. And it does not mean accepting wrongdoing. I want to say this again. It means choosing not to become like that person or like that action. So every time we respond with goodness, we grow, we become stronger, and we draw closer to God. And just like that, we reach the end of episode 48 of the Spiritist Companion podcast. Thank you so much for being here with me today. I hope this reflection has touched your heart, and if it did, please share it with someone who is also seeking to live with more peace and awareness. We'll meet again next Monday for another episode, and until then, remain in peace, choose goodness, and keep moving forward under the light of the gospel, one step at a time. With fraternal love, your Spiritist Companion.